Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Blau, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark. Present. Let the record note, Trustee Drapka is not in attendance. Trustee Hollenbach.
Present.
Trustee Lupfer.
Present and accounted for.
Thank you.
Somebody had to say.
Supervisor Wilt.
Present.
Let the record show Clerk Blau's in attendance.
Thank you. You have in your packets the minutes of the June 12th meeting of this board. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I have a motion by Trustee Clark. Do I hear a second? And a second by Trustee Lupfer to approve the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections?
I have one. I have one correction. Anthony Perry lives at 267 Lawton Road, not 2022-67.
All right.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Just
267 Lawton Road.
267?
Yes.
Drop.
Sorry.
That's okay.
There was one misspelling of a name in the communications. There should be a D rather than a K in Susan Zidlicki's name. And under unfinished business, it should read that it's possible for the village to apply for and possibly be granted a grant from the township for that. And are there any other additions or corrections? Then noting those corrections, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you. Communications.
Okay, we have several. Riverside Art Center thanked us on behalf of our unwavering support and grant of $8,250 and for their continued support to them. There is a gala fine art auction on Saturday, August 25th, hosted by the Frederick Law Olmsted Society. If you want to attend, they say. Actually, there was 2 letters from them, the same one. A letter from Mayor Hermanek of the Village of North Riverside, thanking for the support of their annual golf outing. And it goes on to say that they honored 52 students who were recipients of the scholarship. And the fund will also enable 26 children within the village to participate in recreational programs offered from the Recreation Department, and thanked us for our continuous support. Riverside Arts Weekend, RAW, they wanted to thank us for our generous tax-deductible donation of $1,400 in support of this important community event. And Aging Care Connections sent us a letter thanking us for sponsorship of the 2018 Aging Month celebration. Over 1,400 older adults representing 40 towns attended at least 67 free programs offered through 16 communities. And that concludes the communications for this evening.
Thank you. No actions required. Thank you, Clerk Blau, for all those thank you notes. Are there any visitors' remarks at this point? I see our assessor is present.
Thank you, Vera. I am here in the capacity of Township Assessor to deliver all kinds of good news. As you all know, tax bills were mailed. They're out, and these are the tax bills that reflect the 2017 reassessment. And the result is all over the place. Some tax bills are higher, some tax bills are about the same. And most of the people who receive lower tax bills are senior citizens who are on the freeze. So you might encounter some of them, and they might give you a hug, because some of them got zero amount on their second installment tax bill. So we're getting a lot of appreciative calls from them. I didn't do anything. So actually, the result of that was, or the reason for that is because of the laws that were passed last year to increase the amount of all of the exemptions, the homeowner exemption, the senior exemption, and the senior freeze exemption. What happened, particularly in our town that was reassessed, we had a lot of seniors who qualified for the exemption but never received a dollar savings from it because their assessed values kept going down and down. So this year, 2017, was a reassessment. Almost everyone's assessed value went up. So they're now locked in at probably the lowest possible assessed value in the last 20 years. So they're getting just a huge amount of senior freeze exemption savings this year. In fact, the senior freeze exemption almost doubled from last year in terms of equalized assessed value. Last year's exemptions, total exemptions, amounted to, in terms of EAV, $46,180,351, and this year total exemptions amounted to $70,204,982. So it's a 52% increase. So that's reflected in our tax bills. I do have all the current tax rates here, and I'll pass these out to all of you. I'll just run down. The Brookfield tax rate in Riverside Township is 11.959%. Lyons tax rate in Riverside Township is 11.635%. North Riverside, that's District 94, is 8.238%. North Riverside, that is in District 96, is 9.699%. Riverside's tax rate is 11.157%. Riverside homes that are in Lyons Township, there's about 40 of them, are at 11.136%, and Riverside Lawn is 9.240%. So those are all the local tax rates that the multiplier, that the equalized assessed value is multiplied by to figure everyone's taxes out. So I'll hand one of these out for all of you. Here you go, Mary Rob. So the Board of Review called me today because they're getting ready to start taking appeals from Riverside Township in August, and we scheduled a time for a commissioner to come out and do an outreach, and we decided on June 23rd, Monday, June 23rd at 6 o'clock.
Wait, we're already in July.
I'm sorry, July, thank you. July 23rd at 6 o'clock here in the auditorium on the second floor. Usually Commissioner Dan Patlick comes. Most likely he'll come again. He gives about a half-hour talk, and then he talks to everyone who comes, or his analysts talk to everyone who comes to the meeting, addresses their concerns about their individual situation, and of course all the general questions they have about appealing their assessed values. So I will have information about that going out to the residents that we have on email by Friday. So we just established that date today. So we're going to roll very quickly into the appeal period. And let's see. And that's it for today. Any questions? Yes, Leanne.
I'm sorry, when did you say that the appeals were going to start? In August?
In August, yes. Probably the first few days in August. We'll probably get another phone call from the Board of Review, and they'll give us a definite day. So we'll have 30 days. They think, probably, the first 3 or 4 days in August will be the opening day. So we'll go, if it's August 1st, we'll probably go to September 1st.
So we should call make an appointment with you if you want to appeal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Fran.
Thanks, Fran.
All right, in terms of Supervisors Report, I just got back to town 2 days ago, so I don't have a lot to report, except that I understand it's been pretty quiet in the office. A couple of items will be addressed later in the meeting, but you should also know that I have not received any response from the letter that I sent to the 2 villages regarding a meeting, so. I have not had a formal response of any kind. I know that some of you have reached out to individuals, but I have no response as to scheduling a meeting together, so. And that's about all I have right now. Like I said, there will be some other things during the course of the meeting that we can address then. Do you have any questions?
Well, I would do a follow-up, one request for a meeting, but if we do two, then.
Right, I mean, it was formally extended in a letter.
I know.
I did not,
Yeah, I'm
you know,
not pushing
so,
the issue. I wouldn't push the issue at all.
right. I think
We made
that,
the
Leave it alone.
offer,
right.
and if it was that, that important to
And
them.
that's not to say that they may not realize that I'm back. I've only been back yesterday and today. They may have waited, having heard that I was out of town, that, so we'll see. But that's all I have. Are there any trustees' reports? Anyone have anything to report?
Exercise class is going well. We're supposed to tour, the senior meeting is supposed to be on Thursday, and we'll tour the Cantana home and have lunch there.
Cantata? Okay.
Cantana, yeah.
Okay. I know that reservations, we have been getting calls for
Oh, you-
reservations for that in the office. So.
Okay, I just got a note that only 3 had signed up, but maybe some
I
more.
don't
I'll
know
call
when that
tomorrow
was.
and
There
find
were, I
out.
know that there was a reservation for 2 this afternoon,
Okay, great.
so. Very good.
I've been talking with the high school again, the social work department kind of dropped the ball a little bit on the grant that we were talking to them about, but the new athletic director is very interested in talking to us about helping out some of the athletes over at the school. So we might be hearing from them soon.
Okay. Thank you. We do have a grant period coming up next month, so. Very good. And Trustee Hollenbach, do you have anything?
Mental Health Board, we are getting some concept papers from some of the agencies and some other agencies about some programs that we want to do. Some of those programs included our first aid for first responders, for their mental health training. We have a social work coming to the Township Hall. We have a few things for teenagers. I should have a better grip of what we're going to extend on for a little more in-depth, probably by the end of August. We're in summer hiatus right now.
Sure.
Okay,
Okay.
so that concludes my report.
Thank you. And speaking of that, right into mental health report. We have some items in the packets. Does anyone have any questions? We have the minutes of their June 20th meeting and an updated, I don't know if there's any changes. I did notice one person added to the list with one of the agencies, a contact person, but otherwise it's pretty much the same list as usual.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions regarding the mental health board's reports? If not, then we will move on. As I already indicated, we haven't had any more discussion on the West Suburban Special Recreation Association. So A, of unfinished business, there's nothing more to update. On B, I did get a list of notes, which I was aware that it came while I was away, but I have not made all the adjustments that Trustee Dropka had suggested to the building use policy. But if you have any issues with what you've been presented before and what is again in your packet, please do let me know. Send me some notes if you think that something should be addressed differently. On the township communications planning, there's been no additional meeting. Are there any points, Trustee Clark, that you'd like to make to that?
No, I'm still.
Not at this point.
I apologize.
That's all right. Okay. Then we are on to item D, which is the township-sponsored trip for residents. And although I had indicated that maybe we would skip and do alternate years for the state fair, it turns out we've had over a dozen inquiries whether we're doing a state fair trip. Yeah, go figure. So if you put it out there one year, the following year people say, oh, I would like to do that. So I am recommending that we do that again, and it would be on Saturday, August 11th. The cost of the bus has actually gone down a little bit from what we paid last year. You have a quote there, and we will play it by ear as to what we do about tickets, because last time we wound up buying them and they were never even collected. So if it's your pleasure, I would recommend and I would ask for your support in us scheduling a bus trip to the Illinois State Fair for Saturday, August 11th, which also happens to be, among other events, the local officials' day at the State Fair. So they also are honoring first responders, etc.
What type of vehicle are you thinking about getting?
We are looking at the 55-person bus. There's like $20 difference between that
Right.
and the 49 capacity.
Okay.
And the 55 is what we got last year. And like I said, I want to say it was about $60 more for the bus last year, but it has not gone up. Any other questions about it?
I can see on here where it says Saturday, August 11th is local officials.
I know, I've received that information
Oh.
from one of the, I want to say it may have come from Freerick's office.
Oh, well, he's
That-
having a party on Saturday,
Right.
August 11th, I think.
It was in some material other
Then
than this that I
okay.
received. Yeah. But it's also, it's kind of, it's not the first weekend of the, well, wait a second.
It is the first
week.
weekend.
I'm sorry, it is the first weekend of the fair, which tends to be nice because the butter cow hasn't melted down and things like that.
Get a couple of years of corn.
All the animals tend to smell a little fresher at that point. And it just, it seems to work.
Do you need a motion on this, Supervisor?
I would appreciate that.
I make a motion that we plan our trip for the state fair for Saturday, August 11, 2018.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to plan a trip to the state fair for the residents of the community for Saturday, August 11th. And that would include, once again, we will price it very affordably. It'll just be one of our township programs.
That's fine.
So any questions or discussion?
Is there a dollar figure on that?
Are you gonna include in the motion about the bus?
Can we just say not to exceed 10% more than last year's?
For the cost of
Correct.
it, that could be,
We
right.
amend the
That'd be fine.
motion.
Then would you accept an amendment to your motion? And the second, do you accept an amendment to state that not to exceed 10% more or less of last year's expenditure? Very good. Then we have a motion on the floor. If there's no further discussion.
Wait, can I just?
Yes, absolutely.
On the township perspective, on page 39 is an ad from the state treasurer that does say it's local. He's hosting locals official day.
Okay, very good. I hope that some of you can find your way on the trip as well. We'll come up with a price that would also offer a family package like we did last time.
But we have to get on that.
Yes, that'll be, this week it'll be
And send us-
publicized.
If you could, Supervisor Wolf, I
Absolutely.
would like a little flyer because I can distribute it around my neighborhood.
Absolutely. I will
had
share.
several neighbors last year that said, oh, I would have liked to gone on that. So
Sure, no, we will definitely, we'll get that on that right away.
I appreciate that.
All right, then if.
And then take the flyer up to the seniors class, is that
Absolutely.
possible?
Yes, yes.
That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I hope to have a flyer done before the end of the week, so it'll be
Okay.
there. I can't promise that it'll be ready for tomorrow's class, but
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
by.
but Fridays
but
is
definitely
fine,
by
or
Friday.
Mondays.
All right, clerk, Blau, would you please take the roll on that motion?
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Lupfer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Very good. And then we have a guest with us again this evening, and I'll let him speak for himself. You have material here about, from Future Technology Systems, and Alan Goodcase is with us tonight, and would you like to explain what you've discovered in your, in your process?
All right. I took down the projector and took all the equipment out of the cabinet and traced the wiring through the walls how I had explained that I was going to do it, and discovered that there were no conduits or pipes or anything to pull a new wire through, and that the wire is kind of sandwiched between the plaster ceiling and the floor joists, so there's no pulling it or anything, and it makes several turns. It kind of zigzags over to that wall next to the left of the cabinet and down into the back of the cabinet. So that was not real good news, but again, it wasn't a big surprise to me. I thought that's kind of what I would find. What I did find that was a little bit surprising was not only was there not conduit for the wire going to for giving the signal to the projector, but there was no conduit for the electrical connection. So in other words, there's a regular cord running through the ceiling to wherever it goes. I suspect the cord goes, even though I couldn't see it, to this box here. I would assume that they ran it to the closest one. I got a picture of the joist space above the projector going this way, so I could pretty much see everything that was in that joist space. So that leaves to the plan of trying to utilize what wires are already there. So I have put together I did a few other things too. I eliminated the equipment that wasn't being used anymore. A wireless microphone receiver, the old, there was an old video cassette player in there. I eliminated that. There was also a little panel in there that had wiring connections in it, and I opened that up and traced that wiring as well, determined that it wasn't of any use. So I put a blank panel over that, just removed that as well. So I kind of pretty much cleaned up all the wiring. I literally cleaned the cabinet. When everything was out, I took a rag and cleaned it all out. So it wasn't that dirty. But yeah, I can't help but do that stuff. So and then I put everything back and we tested it, make sure that it was all working as it was before, because they needed to use it for their Thursday for the meeting, for the movie. So that brings us to the plan going forward, and the plan going forward is going to be to utilize the wiring that's already there, and that is a single coaxial cable, and that's all that's there. So that would be to use a converter that convert the HDMI signal in the cabinet to a signal that goes through that cable, that single cable, and then back to an HDMI to go to a new projector that will accept HDMI. The other element is the projector itself. I found another projector that will fit in that space, and it's high definition, 1080, which is high definition. And not only that, but it's brighter than this projector. And it has a nice feature. It has color correction for being projected on a colored wall. So it'll make the picture look a lot more natural because it will be adjusted so that it will compensate for the color of the wall, which is kind of cool. The other thing is I've selected also a DVD player, a Blu-ray player, which is a kind of a challenge nowadays. I don't know if you've gone out to buy a Blu-ray player lately or DVD player. Well, they don't come with displays anymore. In other words, there's no display on the front that says play, stop, or numbers that count. There's just nothing on there. They've eliminated that. I mean, you could buy a pretty good priced Sony one or Panasonic one, or there's no display on it anymore. So they've kind of eliminated that. So I found one that not only had the display on it, but also one that had audio output. So I didn't have to use an audio converter to get the sound out of the HDMI signal. So this one has an audio output and it has a display. And it was reasonably priced, and it's a good quality. It's a heavy-duty, drive, so it should last for a long time. Let's see what else. The projector, I think I went over that. So the other thing is, when I was picking out this equipment and designing this, I was looking at that letter that I had sent over to you originally, outlining what I thought the costs would be. So I wanted to make sure that I kept within those costs so that you wouldn't be surprised or shell-shocked that there was something changed. And actually I did. It worked out really well, and it wasn't, it was interesting because I just added it all up and like, wow, this is like really close to what I thought it would be. So it really worked out well. And I don't expect there to be any other issues because I've already explored it all. And so I don't think there'll be any surprises going forward. My proposal is to install the converter that converts the HDMI at both ends, change the projector over to the high definition projector, and install the Blu-ray player. And a cost for materials of $1,670, and the labor would be $500.
Okay. So what did we approve last month? I was just looking.
Just the, kind of the investigative
I think it
process.
was $400.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes.
So then we need to approve this amount. Is that correct?
Correct.
I make a motion that we approve $2,170 to update the AV equipment in this room for future technology systems.
Do you want to give it a 10%?
I can
Or,
10%.
Overrun, just in case?
Yeah, that's fine.
All
I'll
right.
second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the expenditure of $2,170 for the upgrade of equipment in this room 4, and to allow up to a 10% overrun in case of something that we discover. Any discussion on that?
Anybody have any questions for me? Technical questions of any sort?
Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
I'm sure it was not an easy job.
I don't know. I think it's fun.
I'm good, a man when
To each his own. All right, we have a
All right.
motion and a second on the floor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Clerk Blau, would you please take the roll?
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Luffer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. And under new business, I mentioned last month that I would get you some statistics because we really aren't getting a lot of participation in our blood pressure reading program. I'm not quite sure we have published it in our newsletters, and it's on our website and so forth, but here are the numbers of what kind of participation we get, and we've intentionally scheduled these on the days when the seniors meet in both Riverside and North Riverside traditionally. Now, granted, we move things around a little bit in Riverside, but even in North Riverside, that is the day that the Golden Agers meet. And yet, you see, we have never had more than 7 people in the last year participate. Just food for thought. You don't have to make a decision tonight if you have some thoughts on how we could either better promote it. As you can see, there's a pretty good fixed cost for doing that. So it comes to $187.50 every month to run those 2 dates of readings. It's not a ridiculous amount, however, you know, I'd like to see more participation.
Could we maybe try discontinuing it in Riverside and see, and then, you know, doing a notice that would just be in North Riverside for the next 6 months and see if it improves attendance there? And if not, then I think next year we discontinue, if not before.
I don't think that somebody who, you know, if you're suggesting we do it in one location, that people will go over, I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
I think it's kind of coincidental. They realize when they come into the building, oh, that it's going on. I don't think anybody goes out of their way. I think that the apparatus that people have in their homes today is probably used more frequently than anything. People already know where they are. Not so much, it used to be, I would have said, you know, 5 years ago, oh, you can walk into Walgreens or CVS and take your blood pressure there, but most people really do it at home. They buy the things at home. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's some other kind of testing that would be more appropriate. A lot of other things would deal with bodily fluids and such, and I don't really want to have to take the liability for that kind of thing. But
Yeah, I just think that blood pressure, I mean, it is at Walgreens. If you had blood pressure, I mean, you do it there and you're picking up your meds. I mean, I even do it when I go.
You can also go to the fire station, and if the medics are in, they'll test your blood pressure.
well, now the thing is, the fire station, yes. We don't have this, you know, with the new consolidation of dispatch, the availability of people, of first responders is a little different than it used to be. But, yeah.
I just think it's a redundant service that they
It
could
probably
get
is.
free
It's
in other
something that,
places.
you know, we've done for a long time, but I just think it may have run its course.
I think so too. I think we should discontinue it.
Okay?
So I move that we discontinue the blood pressure screening readings.
Okay, I have a motion to discontinue
Second.
and a second. Any date you want to put on that? Do you want to do it
Let's-
immediately, or do you want to?
September 1st, we'll give it, you know, give them 1 more month, just to let people know this is the last month that we're going to
Everybody all right
discontinue
with
it.
that, to discontinue as of September 1st?
As amended.
Okay, as amended? You accept that amendment? And you-
Yes.
Okay. Then, any other discussion? Then all in favor of discontinuing it as of September 1st, please signify by raising your right hand. Hands down, all opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. And other than that, just for your information, most of you probably were well aware of it, but we've got the information about the historic house in Riverside Lawn that burned to the ground. And just one more thing, we've not been contacted at all by the county or anything about that or the demolition of the houses. As a matter of fact, the assessor has been over there. I don't know if you want to comment on the progress of the demolition of the houses in the lawn.
I went there on Thursday, and they were in the process of demolishing what was left. I've
that.
been there since, but there was not much left. The utility people were out there, so, it's a sad.
It does say that we find it suspicious being there's a vacant house on fire. Have they been any follow-up on that?
There is nothing as of right now as the cause. It remains suspicious. It's going to be very hard to determine because of the damage done to the home. I mean, I think it basically burned to the ground. So if I hear anything, I will absolutely advise the board of what I hear, but I haven't heard anything.
That was the Lions Fire Department that was out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that was the first guys that.
And the other properties have been raised at this point as well.
Yes, I think we have, there's one house for sure that's slated for demolition, and the other one, I'm not sure what's going on. There was no guardianship, and I think there's some delays going on. Yeah, and that's the one that's right across the street from the house that burned. So I'm not sure what the status of that house
Is that that little cottagey looking one?
Yeah.
That's the
Oh,
small
I didn't
one.
realize that that one hasn't been.
No, it's held in a guardianship and there's some legal complications, I think. But there is another home, the newer, one of the newer homes, River Street, it has a fence around it, I think it's the last one to go.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion on that? Okay. So then the only thing we have left is warrants. So, Trustee Heilenbach, you want to present the warrants for approval?
Certainly. Trustee Heilenbach moves that the board authorize and ratify payment of bills identified on the general warrant for July 2018 in the amount of $14,345.44 as presented to this board the 10th day of July 2018.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the general warrant in the amount of $14,345.44 for July 2018. Any discussion? Then please call the roll.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Lupfer?
Yeah.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you.
Motion by Trustee Heilenbach that the board ratify and authorize payment of the amounts indicated on the following warrants. Utility warrant for July 2018 in the amount of $1,004.53. Payroll warrant for July of 2018 in the amount of $17,543.90. Health warrant as of July 2018 in the amount of $1,717.86. General assistant warrant for July 2018 in the amount of $1,984. And the food pantry warrant for July 2018 in the amount of $72. All the above presented to this board on the 10th day of July 2018.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Second by Trustee Clark. So I have a motion and second to approve the utility warrant in the amount of $1,004.53, the payroll warrant in the amount of $17,543.90, the health warrant in the amount of $1,717.86, the general assistance warrant in the amount of $1,984, and the food pantry warrant in the amount of $72. Any questions or discussion? Then would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Lupfer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Then if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.